My name is Margaret Reese, and I'm the president of the Mercy Hospital Foundation, and it is my very great pleasure to welcome you today to Mercy, Iowa City for our Lunch and Learn program. This is the first of a 6-program series for this year, so I hope you'll be able to join us at other events. So, some things that we want you to know. First of all, please continue munching on your lunch, that's fine. Second, that the restrooms are located right outside the door to the left, so those are easy to find. The parking and the ramp today is free, so if you didn't get a parking pass on your way in, please get one on your way out. And you all have a simple evaluation form in the pile of papers in front of you, and these will help us fine-tune our future programs, so if you would please help us by completing those and leaving them behind, we would appreciate it very, very much. And also, we respectfully ask that you silence your phones at this time so that those don't go off during the program. So this new Lunch and Learn series is co-sponsored by our very good friends at Hills Bank and Trust Company and Prosperous Brothers Printing, and we thank them very much for their support. Our next Lunch and Learn program will be Friday, April 21st, and the topic is an overview of mental health services in Iowa and what you should know, which is a very important topic, and I think you'll find it very interesting. And today's program is, as you know, Spend Smart, Eat Smart. It's presented by Rachel Wall, who has served as a human sciences specialist, nutrition and wellness for Iowa State Extension Service since March 2013. She does outreach in 7 counties in the corridor. She provides educational trainings in the areas of worksite well-being, food safety, child care, nutrition, and food preservation. Rachel grew up on a diversified farm outside Iowa City and graduated from Iowa State University with both bachelor's and master's degrees in dietetics and exercise science. She is a registered and licensed dietitian and completed her dietetic internship at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. We are delighted to have Rachel here with us today, and we're very happy also to be partnering with Iowa State Extension for this program. So please join me in welcoming Rachel Wall.
Thank you. Thank you, Margaret, and thank you all very much for attending today. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you, Mercy, for having me. As she mentioned, the topic today is Spend Smart, Eat Smart. You guys may notice that there are some handouts at your table. We're going to be using those throughout the duration of our presentation today. So shopping for groceries, this is something we all do or have done. It probably can be a daunting task over time, and so we're going to talk about how we can get the most bang for our buck nutrition-wise. So have you guys noticed that food costs are up? Yes, okay. Have the higher prices changed how often you eat out? Maybe. What or where you buy in your grocery cart? Or how often you shop? So I want you to think about those questions. Get this to go here. It fell asleep on me. So I want you to think about those questions. So have the higher costs of food made or caused you to make any changes to your shopping or eating habits? I want you to talk about that with the other people at your table. Okay, I'm going to ask if you could wrap up your discussions. Would anyone like to share any ideas that were discussed in their group? Yes.
I don't ever go to the grocery store hungry.
You don't go to the grocery store hungry. Tell me why.
Because then I binge buy.
Everything looks appealing, right? When you go to the grocery store hungry. We're going to talk about that later in our strategy, so that's a very good point. What other ideas did you guys discuss? Yes.
We started going more often to Aldi's than to Hy-Vee, and because the prices are better and the food is fresher.
So her comment was that they're going to Aldi's more than Hy-Vee because she feels like the food is fresher there and the costs are lower. So you've made some changes as to where you're doing your shopping. Good. Any others?
Use a list.
Using a list. Tell me more about that.
Well, when I run out of something or low on something, I put it on a list and then I read the ads each week and take my list with me.
So you're keeping track of what you need to have so when you get to the store you're not blank as far as what you're going to get. Good. Those are all wonderful strategies. Yes?
Buying what you need and not buying more than what you need.
So only buying the amount that you need and not extra if you're not going to use it.
Yeah.
Great. Those are all wonderful strategies.
Buying seasonally, especially with produce.
Buying produce when it's in season, that's wonderful. That will probably have a lower cost and probably taste fresher. Wonderful. Well, you guys are spot on with what we're going to be talking about today. All of those topics that you just mentioned are going to be discussed throughout the presentation. So we're going to talk a little bit about the actual cost of food. So this slide represents CPI is the Consumer Price Index. That's what that abbreviation stands for. And that's a reflection of the price of goods from the previous year. So you can see for food, over the past 20 years, the cost has increased about 2.5% over those 20 years. So again, it's predicted to go up about the same amount this year in 2017. And it's important to think about how much you're actually spending on food. Yes?
Is that 2.6 over 20 years or 2.6 per year?
2.6 per year. Yes, correct. Good question. So it's important to know how much you're actually spending on food. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to track if you're spending more or less over the previous amount of time. So one way that you can track how much you're spending is to have everyone in your household keep track of the receipts when you're purchasing food. So that includes not only what you're purchasing when you go out to eat and at the grocery store, but every time you shop at the vending machine or the gas station, coffee shop, any of those will count towards your actual food bill. We're encouraging you to put all of those receipts in a jar, pull them out at the end of the month, and actually categorize those. So how much are you spending in each of those different categories? And are you actually getting good nutrition for your money? So are you purchasing healthy choices with that money, or is it going to what we would call choices that aren't as nutrient dense? Now you may think, oh, we're spending a lot of money on food. That's where a lot of our food budget is going. But actually in the United States, families are spending the least amount of their income on food compared to other parts of the world. So we are spending about 6.7% of our consumer expenditures on food. If you compare that to other countries, the United Kingdom spends about 9%, Spain about 14%, Mexico 25%, and in Pakistan they spend nearly 50% of their income on food. Can you imagine trying to budget for other categories with that amount being spent on food? Time Magazine did a really interesting project, and it was called What the World Eats. And so they looked at different parts of the country and what those families were eating per week and also how much they were spending on food. So I'm going to pull up the website here, and you're actually going to be able to see what other parts of the world are eating, if it cooperates with me. That's always key with technology. I'm going to let that load, and we're going to keep going on with the presentation because I want to make sure we get everything covered. If we have time, we can come back to that later. So a concept you heard me introduce just a minute ago was this concept of nutrient density. Has anyone heard that term before, by show of hands? Okay, would anyone like to share what it means to you? Nutrient density.
It means that you're getting a lot of nutrients for the amount of food you're eating.
Correct. So a lot of nutrients for the amount of food you're eating. Specifically things like vitamins and minerals relative to the amount of calories in that food that you're getting. So our goal is to select and choose nutrient-dense options for the money that we're spending. The USDA has defined nutrient density as foods that provide substantial amounts of vitamins and minerals and relatively few calories. It's important because we want to get as much bang for our buck as far as nutrition is concerned with our food. So choosing food with the most amount of nutrients available, for instance, for the same amount of calories, you can choose an apple with some peanut butter or some M&Ms. Now, for those same amount of calories, that apple and peanut butter is going to be quite a bit more nutrient dense than the M&Ms would be. So we can find foods that are inexpensive and provide us with calories, such as hot dogs, but those probably aren't going to give us a lot of nutrition for our money. Within Iowa State University Extension and Outreach, we really wanted to help Iowans address this problem of how can I choose healthy options without spending a lot of money, because that's one of the number one things I hear from people is, oh, I would like to eat healthy, but it just costs too much money. And so that's where Spend Smart, Eat Smart was developed. At your places, you guys should have a half card that talks about the resources available through Spend Smart, Eat Smart. So that's not only the title of the presentation today, but it's also a website that we have. And on the website, we have tips and tools for how you're able to choose choices that are healthy without spending a lot of money. Our goal really is to help you choose choices that align with the 2015 dietary guidelines. So that includes choosing whole grains, lean proteins, vibrant fruits and vegetables, and also low-fat dairy products. So we're actually going to have a quiz now, and you're going to be able to test your nutrient density. So at your tables, you guys should have a little clicker. It works just like a TV remote, and there should be one per table, so you can vote with your table mates. You're going to read this question together and then decide on an answer. How it's going to work, I'm going to show the question, and then on the next slide will be the slide where you can vote. You just need to hit the button once and it will record it, and you just need to point it up here towards my computer screen. So, we're going to do some nutrient density questions with fruits and vegetables. I am really sorry. I don't know what. Okay, so we've got our first question is referring to vitamin A. So of spinach, potato, or tomato per serving, I want you to talk with your table mates. Which do you think has the most vitamin A content?
So spinach is one, potato is tomato.
Correct. Hold on. When I advance to the next slide is where you're actually going to vote. So just I want you to talk about what your answer would be right now.
Makes sense.
Okay, and if you guys want to vote, so if you think it's spinach, you're going to select A. Sorry?
We can't tell when it works.
You just need to hit the button. That's all you need to do.
Great, now all our numbers are going to be off.
Okay. This is, for some reason, I'm not seeing your responses on here. So we're just going to do it by hands. How many of you think it's spinach? Tomato? Potato? Okay, the correct response is A, spinach.
Is that where we're trying to that? Yeah, that's all we're One question.
Oh, they decided to come up. Okay, vitamin C. We're going to skip the voting because I think it's irritating my computer. So, vitamin C, we have a cucumber, carrot, or cauliflower. Which do you think is highest in vitamin C? Discuss this at your table.
That took me a minute. I was like, yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, how many of you think that it's cucumber? Carrots? Not carrots. Cauliflower? You guys are right. Cauliflower is high in vitamin C. Okay, next we have vitamin A. So an apple, grapes, or apricot, which do you think is highest in vitamin A?
I must have some redeeming value. Yeah, we know something.
All right, how many of you think apple? Grapes? Apricot? You guys are right. Yes. Okay, we've got 2 left. We're back to vitamin C again. Cabbage, peppers, or celery, which do you think is highest in vitamin C? All right, how many of you think cabbage? You think cabbage? Okay. Peppers? Spinach? Oh, celery. I don't know where that came from. Okay, who thought it was celery? It's peppers. Okay, and our final one, vitamin C, but now we're talking about fruits. So we have kiwi, pears, or strawberry. Which do you think is highest in vitamin C? This is tricky because 2 of these are actually a really good source of vitamin C. How many of you think kiwi? Pears? Strawberry? It is the kiwi. Per serving.
He's a teacher. Don't listen to him.
Thank you all for participating in those polls. This brings us to our next topic, which is an equation. So I'm not a math teacher, but we are going to talk about how we have resources that are available to us and skills that we can use that can result in savings at the grocery store. So some of those assets that we have or we can improve upon include time. That's kind of a set amount. But we also have knowledge. So the existing knowledge we have, but also increasing our knowledge related to how we can save more at the grocery store. And then planning. That's really the key. So what can we do to plan so that we're prepared and have nutritious meals? And this is going to result in savings in the long run. The key here is that when money is plentiful, when we have lots of resources available to us, then we don't really pay attention to these things as much, do we? I mean, we don't have to plan as strategically. We don't have to worry about how much knowledge we have because we have unlimited resources. But when our budget gets tight, we really need to be mindful of these things. I'm going to keep going, and I'll have the slide catch up when it wakes up. So we have 4 rules we're going to discuss today to save us 15% at the grocery store. So a University of New Hampshire study found that by following these 4 rules, you can save yourself 15%. Now that may not sound like a lot, but if you spend $500 a month on groceries, that's $75 that you're saving. And so over the course of time, that can really add up. So our first rule is to use grocery store ads when planning to shop. So that's why you'll see those at your seat. We're going to use those in a minute. Our second rule is to complete a menu plan. Our third is to write a grocery list. And our final rule is to use unit pricing to select the best buy. So by doing those 4 things, we can save ourselves about 15% on our food bill. So our first is to use grocery store ads when planning to shop. And you'll see those in front of you there. This helps you determine what the weekly sales are for that store. And you can also, if you have space, stock up on those non-perishable items when they're on sale. Yes?
Does this first thing take into account the gas that you spend going to different grocery stores to get the deals?
We'll get to that because we're going to talk about how if you're planning your menu out, how you probably are only going to need to shop once every 2 weeks or even once a month. So if you're planning ahead of time, and I don't think you necessarily need to go to every single store to get the best deal because like you said, that's going to take a lot of time and also a lot of resources like fuel. So that may not be the best solution depending on your situation. So, but using ads can help you identify what those true deals are and compare those to prices across different stores. Our second rule is to plan menus. So you'll notice that you guys have a menu planning sheet at your places if you want to pull that out. Making a menu can be done fairly quickly and it can save you lots of time in your final analysis. If you're making a weekly menu, you may only go to the grocery store once a week, once every 2 weeks, or even once every month. When you're planning your meals, your first step is to check what you have on hand. So that includes your refrigerator, your freezer, and your cupboards. And you want to put those items that are going to spoil first on your menu plan so that you can use those up. So our goal is to help reduce food waste there. Next, you want to review the grocery store ads, which is what you have at your place right now. Look for any specials that you would easily be able to incorporate into your menu plan. And then you want to finally think about your family favorites and staples and make sure that you're including those in your list as well. It's also important to think about your schedule. So if you have a really busy week coming up, is it realistic that you're going to be cooking every night that week? Probably not. So that's, again, where this planning comes into place. So planning menus or making items that you can make on the weekend and freeze and enjoy throughout the rest of the week would be a good way to manage your time resources there. I want you guys to take about 5 minutes here to practice with the menu planning. So I want you to think about what you have on hand at home and what needs to be used up within the next couple days. I then want you to look at what's on sale in the grocery store ads and select a few items on there and plan those into your menu as well. And I want you to share at least one menu with your people at your table. So that could be just a breakfast, a lunch, or a dinner that you've planned, using either what you have on hand and or what is on sale. On the bottom of each sheet, you'll notice that there's a checkbox for each of the categories. So do you have a fruit, a vegetable, a protein, a grain, and a dairy included in your meal? So hold your partners accountable to that. So I'll give you until quarter till to work on those menus.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Most smoothie recipes call for almond milk or, one of those. What would the difference be using skim milk versus one of the specialized milks?
So some people use some of the specialized milks because they may have some kind of allergy or intolerance, or they may have a special dietary concern that wouldn't allow them to have traditional cow's milk. But as far as nutrients are concerned, generally cow's milk is going to have the most protein as well as the most potassium compared to some of the other, especially like the nut milks, tend not to be as high in calcium or protein.
So skim milk is as good as...
Yes, if you don't have any dietary restriction that would prohibit you from having the others, then skim
Certainly
milk.
saves a lot of money.
And it's also more inexpensive, that's very true.
Actually, we were just talking about this morning, and I said I don't drink milk because they were joking about my pop. And somebody there was going, my kids won't drink milk either, but they drink the almond milk. They said, have you tried that? I'm going, no, because I just don't like milk or even milk.
Do you like
ice cream.
cheese
Yeah,
or yogurt?
But they said the almond milk just tastes so totally different, but I won't spend the money for that, just something I might not like.
And that's, that's a personal preference, so.
I have cereal and there's milk in the bottle, I got too much milk in that.
What you said, one meal out of the...
Don't do milk.
Okay.
So mine would be spinach, milk, and yogurt. But I don't think anybody has put any of those on sale. And another question, the yogurts, is the Greek yogurt preferably preferable for vitamins over the other, if you don't get one that's high sugar?
Yeah, the main thing with the yogurts would be identifying the sugar on them and choosing one with lower sugar, and also choosing a lower fat or fat-free variety. If you would like the Greek yogurt, that's great. It's going to have additional protein in it. So if that's something that you're not able to get enough of in other parts of your diet, then by all means use the Greek yogurt. But the main things would be low fat or fat free and the least amount of sugar.
Fat-free. Because I've compared that with the other yogurts, and it's kind of like, everything has sugar in it. If you go the other direction.
That's a good question. What is the point of having 240 calories in yogurt when you can get the same thing for 90 calories? What is the benefit of the full yogurt?
The full fat yogurt?
Yeah.
So there have been some more recent studies that are pointing to the benefits of fat. And so some people, prefer to have that. But a lot of us are getting enough calories in our diet. And so by choosing a lower fat variety of yogurt, then that's helping them to save some calories.
So there is no real benefit to it.
At this point in time, there's not been a lot.
Okay.
I haven't seen enough to say I strongly recommend that over the low fat variety.
meal, are you supposed to have all these things?
Or on a given day, you're supposed to have all these things?
Over the course of the day, we want to have all of these. At a mealtime, we want to include at least 3 components.
Okay. All righty.
Yes.
What'd she say? I'm sorry. Statement about perhaps you can go grocery shopping once a month. You can't even get produce or milk or meat fresh for a month unless you freeze it.
Correct. The other comment I was going to make is you can purchase some of those items that you need in between, like milk or eggs, at a convenience store, like a gas station often sells them. What's that? They're typically 30 to 50 cents more, but if going to the grocery store is going to cause you to purchase a bunch of additional items that you don't really need, you know, it's your personal preference. But what we're trying to do is eliminate you from going to the store every single day or every other day.
But she always went and got, this is my mom grocery shopping. She would go into the fresh produce and get her fruits and vegetables. Then she'd go home and call Hy-Vee and give them her list and let them deliver the rest of it because she couldn't walk very far. And I thought that was the smart way to do it because she got the vegetables she wanted.
Sure.
Oh, you're up.
We're back. I don't know what my computer is doing. Is there someone who would like to share one of the menus that they planned? Go ahead.
I know what I'm having for dinner tonight because I bought salmon at Aldi's. So we're going to have salmon and brown rice and a salad with romaine, romas, peppers, feta cheese, almonds, and apple chunks in it, and skim milk. And for dessert, I'm going to have a Dove chocolate.
That sounds very good. Anyone else like to share what they planned?
I have a breakfast.
Okay, what's your breakfast?
It's a smoothie.
Okay,
Spinach, Greek yogurt, skim milk, and frozen fruit.
so you've got a fruit, a vegetable, and a dairy in there. Wonderful. Great. Those are pieces that you guys can take home with you. If you would like additional copies of the menu planning worksheet or the grocery list, you can download those from our Spend Smart, Eat Smart website, so you can access those resources here on the website. So I sincerely apologize. My computer is completely frozen, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to share with you the additional slides I have. So bear with me here as I talk through the remainder of the presentation. The last piece of the fourth final rule to saving the 15% is to use unit pricing when you're shopping. Can anyone tell me what a unit price is or how to calculate it? Yes.
You carry around the calculator. That's rule 1. And then you type in the price, divide it by the ounces or whatever, and then multiply it by whatever the other size package has. And if it's cheaper for the other size package, buy it. And if it's more expensive, buy the one you were started with. And I do that with all the stuff I buy because it's amazing. Sometimes a great big box is better. Sometimes a little bitty one is.
So her comment was you're taking the cost of the item, the total cost, divided by the number of units. So for instance, let's practice with something in your ads. Let's see here, what could we practice with? Let's practice with this spinach at Fairway. So we have an 8-ounce package that's 97 cents. So to calculate the unit price of this spinach, we're going to take the 97 cents divided by 8, the number of units, and that's going to give us the cost per ounce. Can anyone tell me what that is?
A little over 12.
Little over 12 cents per ounce. So that's how we will be calculating it. You may notice that some of the stores that you're shopping at, Walmart has the unit price on the where you see the price of the product. It's right there in front of it. This is a really good way to help compare the cost of different products. And I also like to use the unit price when you're trying to compare fresh, frozen, and canned produce items. Because depending on the seasonality, as someone mentioned, will depend on what is going to cost more. And my example today I was going to show you was comparing pineapple. So it was fresh, frozen, and canned pineapple. Given your shopper knowledge, which of those do you think has the lowest unit price? Canned, yes. So the canned came out to be 7 cents per ounce. What do you think has the highest unit price?
Fresh.
In this example, it was actually the frozen. It cost 22 cents per ounce. So it was more than 3 times more expensive per ounce compared to the canned variety.
I'm not taking the liquid in that can.
We're just doing easy figuring here. I'm not trying to complicate stuff too much. So given that, I would encourage you when you're going out to select and purchase produce items to compare the fresh, frozen, and canned unit price of various items to find the best deal. And that can help save you quite a bit on your fruits and vegetables.
Well, isn't it true though?
So who can tell me, I'll hold your questions just if you can wait till the end here. Just as a wrap up and review, we talked about 4 rules today to saving the 15% at the grocery store. Who can tell me what one of them is?
Ads.
Using the grocery store ads. What was our second rule? Planning a menu.
Take a list.
Making a list.
I can't remember the
Check what you have on there.
Using unit pricing to select the best buy. Yes, so we've got use the grocery store ads, plan a menu, make a grocery list, and using unit pricing. And in general, that will save you about 15% if you follow those 4 steps. I'm going to close with asking you to visit our Spend Smart, Eat Smart website when you have a chance. We have lots of great resources on there, including videos that you can watch. We have lots of easy recipe ideas that are under $3 per serving, and they're all meet nutrition guidelines. We also have a blog that you can sign up for. And soon to be coming out later this spring, we have an app. So this is for Apple and Android versions, and it's a free app. It will have a unit price calculator on it. It will also have produce selection tips. So when you're going to the grocery store and trying to determine, is this what an avocado is supposed to look like when I want it to be fresh? This will give you tips on how to select those produce items.
When does that come out?
This spring. So check the website and it will have updates for when the app will be available.
Yeah.
And I would like to thank you all for attending today. I'm sorry my computer was being finicky. I would open it up to any questions that you guys have. Yes?
Is there a resource in which you can find out when fruit or vegetable is in season?
Yes, so the question was about when you can find out when fruits and vegetables are in season. There's the Iowa Fruit and Vegetable Grower. They have a calendar, and so it has the months of the year and then various produce items. So if you look that up on Google, it will give you the seasonality. Yes, ma'am.
I was just floored when you said you could shop once a month.
You were, okay, so her comment was she was floored when I said you could shop once per month. So if you do careful planning, there may be some essentials like milk and eggs that you need to pick up in between there. Right. But our goal really is to minimize the number of big trips that you're making to the grocery store, because every time you go into the store, you're tempted and it's more likely to impulse buy. Over half of our purchases at the grocery store are unplanned. So you go into the grocery store and half of the stuff that you come out with you weren't even planning to buy when you entered the store. So our goal is to reduce the number of times that you have to go into the main grocery store to purchase items. So it may vary depending on your family or what you're able to purchase. And there may be things like the milk and eggs that you need to purchase at a gas station. And although they may cost 30 to 50 cents more, it may be cheaper than going in and buying other things at the grocery store that you don't need. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
You said to look on the Spend Smart, Eat Smart website.
Correct.
So just look that up.
So it's right here on this card. This website right here is our Spend Smart, Eat Smart. This will take you there.
That will take you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
I'm struggle with fresh versus frozen sometimes during the year because frozen, they immediately process and freeze. So I've read that it has higher nutrition than something that's been shipped and set on the shelf.
So her comment was that she was wondering about fresh versus frozen produce. And yes, you are correct. So frozen is often flash frozen right after it's harvested, so it's at the peak of its nutritional quality. And with fresh, it's hard to tell sometimes how long it's been since it's traveled to the store or how long it's been sitting there on the shelf. My goal is to just get people to eat more produce. We are 49th in the country in Iowa in eating our fruits and vegetables. So any way that we can get them fresh, frozen, or canned is an improvement and something that I think we can strive for. Of course you'd ask. I'm not sure. I can check on that.
What is the recommendations for servings for each of the families of food?
Could you repeat the question?
What is the recommendation for servings for each of the families of food, like meat and fruits and vegetables and dairy?
So her question was about the recommendations for each of the different MyPlate categories for each of the food groups. That's going to depend a little bit on your age, your physical activity level, and your gender. So I would encourage you to go to choosemyplate.gov or just type in MyPlate into Google, and you will be able to calculate for someone of your physical activity level, age, and gender how much of each of those different food groups you need in a day.
Is there some place where you can look up which fruit or vegetable has the most vitamin C or A or whatever?
So as part of the Choose My Plate, they do have what's called a super tracker feature. So you're actually able to go in for free. It's very similar to like MyFitnessPal, and you would be able to look up various produce items and the nutritional content in those items.
Because I mean, when I'm thinking of vitamin C, I'm sure not thinking of celery or, the things that you were putting up there were so foreign to me for looking for a particular vitamin.
So the other nice feature with Super Tracker is you can put in several days of what you've eaten. So I would encourage you maybe 2 weekdays and 1 weekend day, and then it will tell you, it will pull out a report and say how you're doing based on various nutrients. So if it's saying, oh, you need to get a little more vitamin D and a little more potassium, you'll be able to pull that from your printout. Or maybe if
MyPlate?
choosemyplate.gov.
Okay.
Other questions? All right, yes.
To get the ads, you have to buy the newspapers, or you just walk in the store and you're going in blind when you go into the store. But when, like, is this all on the web? Are those ads on the web?
Yeah,
They are. Okay.
Yep.
And many of the ads you can also have emailed to you as well.
Okay.
I have emails, there's out now every Wednesday, I think we get IV out in the mailbox. Of course, I don't live in Rock City, I'm in the West Branch, but.
Isn't there a new application out there that you put in your location?
Is it a
It
brochure or
shows
did
up
we
all
see
the
it in the
ads.
newspaper?
No, it was on the card.
So the question was about if there is an ad or an app available that pulls up ads in the area. I'm not familiar with one, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Does anyone else know of one? An app that will pull up local ads in the area.
It came out like last Christmas, so you could compare your, but
I would not be surprised if it exists. All right, I think we have to wrap it up. It looks like we're close on time. Thank you for participating.
I like getting your emails with the ideas.
Thank you. I will be here after the end, so if you have additional questions, please stop by and ask them. And thank you for coming.
Does everyone know that you'll send them emails with food ideas?
We'll talk about that later.
So I want to thank Rachel for coming. I'm sorry she had some technical difficulties, but she had a lot of great information to share. So thank you, Rachel, very, very much. And And thank you to all of you as well for joining us today for Lunch and Learn. And if you'd like any more information about Mercy's nutrition and wellness programs, you all have a flyer at your place. So there's some information here. We have a lot of resources too. I look forward to working more with the Iowa State Extension Service. I'd also like to thank again our sponsors today, Hills Bank and Trust Company and Hosper's Brothers Printing, and thank them for supporting this event and the future events that we will be having. So we hope you can join us on April 21st for our next Lunch and Learn program. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Margaret.
Thank you.